Hey everybody, it's Christine of Twinkle Plans Her Day, and today I'll be doing a planner insert page for my word of the year, my one little word, and my word of the year is mindfulness. So the first thing I'm going to do is write out the word, and I'm going to use a ruler to space out where my letters are going to be on the page. And I'm taking this blue mildliner. I liking the color blue because it's kind of meditative and it reminds me of the word mindfulness. So I'm just going to write it out in capital letters, and it's really easy. I had no idea how easy it is to write with mildliners, like big words like this. Usually I just use it to make lines, but I'm very impressed with myself because I'm definitely not a letterer, so I really was pleased with myself with how I did that. I'm using the gray mildliner to accent the letters, sort of make a shadow on them, and I really think it highlights well the contours of each letter, and it really makes it stand out. So I was pleased with this as well, this little technique of doing the shadow. I told myself there was no pressure. I told myself if I messed up, I would just start again, but I didn't have to. Sometimes it's really, if you don't put pressure on yourself, things go so much better when you're planning and doing these kinds of pages. So after the shading, I decided to go back with the blue and fill in some white spaces. There were some little parts that I messed up on with the shading, so I filled it in to try to fix it. And when I was satisfied, I decided to put some lines on the top and the bottom just to accent that title, really make it pop. And I'm using grid paper, which really helps to stay in a straight line. I always recommend grid paper for these kinds of pages. So I'm taking the Happy Blooms sticker book, and I'm looking at these leaves and different flowers and trying to decide what would look best with this blue color. And I really didn't find anything that stood out, although I love this book, and I almost chose these purple flowers here. But then I went to Jessica at Live Love Posh's sticker book, and I thought there were some flowers in this color scheme that would work well. And I also debated about whether I should use those black and white flowers as well. I went back and forth on this one, and then I went back to these purple ones and decided those were the ones I was going to use. So I placed them around the page. And just with two stickers, I felt like it really was easy and just sort of filled up the space so nicely. So I went right with my pen and started to write in the things that I want to be mindful of this year. The first thing is how I spend my time. I don't want to waste it on my phone. Well, right now I'm just writing arrows all around to space out the different areas of my life I want to be mindful of. And the first one is how I spend my time. So I'm writing that out. So I feel like this process really helped me think about what I want to get out of 2021 and help me visualize how I want what my purpose is going to be. So the next thing I'm mindful of is what I spend and how. I really want to be careful about where my money goes and not bring things into the house that are just going to end up being clutter. I want to think about our plastic waste and where it comes from and how much we have. So that's another thing I put on my list. Also, I want to be mindful of what I eat. I want to be careful about sugar intake, especially, and trying to stay healthy that way. I like the word of the year instead of a resolution because there's a lot less pressure on it. And so there's no failure. It's just, and I really feel like for me, I'm much more successful when there's not that fear of failure. So again, I'm mindful of how my body feels, mindful of who I frequent, and mindful of how others feel. So these are all things that I'm going to try to think about in my work, in my private life, in my relationships, and hopefully in my planning as well. So after I finished writing things down, I decided that there was too much white space, and you know how I feel about white space. It's got to be filled. So I took out Jessica's book again to maybe put on the bottom right-hand side some more florals and really fill up that space. Here are some beautiful blue leaves that I think match perfectly the mildliners. that I used. So I mean, I cut around there's a lot of white space on her, white space, I mean a white border on her stickers, so I felt like I needed to cut some of that off so that it wouldn't go over the Mild liner. So I think it looks perfectly coming out from that upper right hand side, and I decided to take another leaf, like luckily there were two of them, and I put one on the bottom sort of like to make it look a little symmetrical. And I really, really like the way it looks there. But I still have that bottom portion that I need to fill. So luckily there was another big sticker that fit perfectly there. I was surprised about how easily this page came together. I was really hawing and hemming, like, how am I going to do this page? What's it going to look like? And it really came together as quickly. I was putting it off like for a long time. I mean, we're in late January and I still hadn't done this page. I had been putting it off. I was kind of fearful that it wouldn't come out well, but I really am happy with the way it is turning out. So I'm just going through the book and taking a couple more leaves and scattering them here and there as I see fit. Again, this is like the part that I love the most, filling in little white spaces. And as you can see, the background changed. I went to take pictures and then I decided that something was off. I still wanted to add something else. So I went back with my Mild liner and I framed each thought like in the box. I just put a box around each thing, not really caring where the arrow went. I just thought it looked better and separated each thought a little bit better as well. So after I did all that, I decided maybe I should add just a couple more florals. I just couldn't get enough of these florals. I just love working with them and playing with them. So I went back to the book and flipped through, as you can see here. I love Jessica's book. You should go check it out. I will put the link in the description if you're interested. She has 3 books. I think she's coming out with 2 more. Don't quote me on that. But she restocked her latest one. I'm not sure if this is the one that she just restocked. Actually, I think it is. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'll put the link in the description. And hopefully you'll be able to find it. And if you don't find this particular book, there's other books. And they're similar enough that you could probably create something similar if you wanted to with the other books. So I think I'm going to leave it like this. Oops, I take one out. I take something out. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can catch me on Instagram at Twinkle Plans Today. Thanks so much for watching.